360 Custom Mods here today to do a quick tutorial on how to do your very own 12 volt LED custom fan mod for your Xbox 360. Here are the items you're going to need in order to do this. Of course, you're going to be needing your fan, the power cable to your DVD drive, 6 LEDs, 2 resistors, 2 strips of wire. This is 22 gauge wire, approximately 5 to 6 inches long. One's red, one's black. I like to color code everything. The red's going to be for the positive and then the black for the ground. 2 connector splices and some additional wire for the LED up there in the top. That's going to be 30 gauge enamel wire and some electrical tape. Alright, so the first step here we have is our LEDs, and each LED is going to have 2 prongs coming off of them. As you can see, one of the prongs is going to be longer than the other. The longer of the 2 is going to be your positive line, and the shorter of the 2 is going to be your negative line. And that's going to be important when it comes into wiring these, because what we're going to have to do is cut these down a little bit in order to fit them onto the surface of the fan. And when we wire them in a series, in this case we're going to be wiring 3 of them together, it's going to go negative to positive to negative to positive, and it is going to look something like this once you're done. Here I have them all soldered in a series, and it's going to go negative positive negative positive. I put the resistor on the end. It doesn't really matter which side it goes on as long as you're consistent. I like to put mine on the positive end. So looking from right to left, that has the positive lead, the negative lead, the positive lead, and then the negative lead. And you can see I have my 30 gauge wire running to it. The red wire is running to the beginning of the resistor, and then we have the green wire, which is going to be our negative. That's going to be running off the very last lead of the LED there. Alright, so on our next step here, what I've done is I've taken the 2 strings of the LEDs that I've soldered together. Using a little bit of hot glue, you can use any type of adhesive. I found hot glue works the best. So using a little bit of hot glue, you put it onto the sticker surfaces of those 2 areas there, and then you just put your LEDs flush down there on top of them. Once that sets up, which usually takes about a minute or so, those aren't going anywhere. Then what I do is I take both the positive and the neutral line and I run it through each slit that I cut in the top of the fan. What that's going to do is that's going to keep the wires neat, and it's going to keep it from getting hung up on the metal cage when you're installing this. Let me flip it up and show you. Again, from the furthest fan there, I added a little bit more hot glue there in the middle of that well. Again, it just keeps it from moving around on me. And then I run it to the second line, and then I run both of those lines together. Again, I use a little bit of hot glue on the side there, and that just keeps everything in place. As you can see, I went ahead and cut off the ends of the plug, and on the plug there's going to be 4 lines. There's 2 fans on here, so there's a positive for each fan and a negative for each fan. And they're going to be color coded. All the color codes are going to be the same for these fans. You're going to have a red and brown. Those are going to be your positive lines, and then you're going to have a blue and a black. Those are going to be your negative lines. So what I've done was I've connected my positives for my LEDs and my negatives for my LEDs into the positives of the fan and the negatives of the fan. I then took those 2 pieces of the 22 gauge wire, using the red for the positive, I went ahead and connected that on there, and then using the black for the neutral or negative line, I've connected that onto our negative line. So now basically what we have is we have a neutral line which connects the neutral of the fans and the neutral of the LEDs, and then we have a positive line which connects the positive lines to the LEDs and the positive lines to the fan. Alright, so once we have both our negative and our positive connected, what you want to do is wrap both of those up with a little bit of electrical tape. That keeps them from shorting out or grounding out. I didn't show that in the video there, and I do apologize for that. As you can see, this is actually an optional step, but I used some heat shrink tubing. And it's not necessary because all the wires are shielded, but it does keep them together and it makes it look neat and organized. But again, it's not a necessary step. Very last thing you want to do is you're going to be connecting your positive and your negative or neutral to your DVD power cable. Now, to identify the top of the cable, it's going to have 2 little white nipples on the top there. There's going to be one on the left and then one on the far right. The first 2 slots of the power cable are going to be open, and the ones you're going to be focusing on are going to be the far bottom and the far top. The far bottom is going to be your 12 volt power supply, and the far top is going to be your ground wire. Using these connectors, and these come in really handy because these splice connectors, you just pop them in there and then clamp them down and you're good to go. That way you're not having to cut the wires and tie in that way. When you clamp them down, what you want to do is you want to leave about 1.5 inch gap between the plug and the connectors, because what happens is this is going to be the portion that's going to plug into your DVD drive. This portion here is going to plug into the motherboard. You want to leave about 1.5 inches down, that way it'll give you, they won't be in the way when you plug into your DVD drive. But if you put them too far down, they end up getting in the way when your DVD drive lays on top of your cable. So you put them about 1.5 inches down and you're good to go. They fit in there nicely, you don't have any issues whatsoever. Alright, last but not least, like I said, you're going to be connecting this in to your as you can see, the connectors are going to be on the top portion of the cable where it goes into your DVD drive, and then the bottom portion of it goes into the motherboard. You can see the line running from that DVD power cable into your fan here, and then you just fire it up. You could hear that 12 volt, and as you can see, those shine through extremely bright. Hope you folks enjoyed the video. Please take a moment and like it. If you have any questions, drop me a question on here. Try to answer them as quickly as possible. I do sell these kits in my store, so be sure to check that out. I'll put the links down here in the bottom. And be sure to subscribe. We're going to be adding some additional tutorials if you folks find this helpful. Thanks for watching.